One of Britain's biggest heists was pulled off with nothing more than a hammer and a few chisels. This wasn't a storybook caper, it was real. Right in the heart of London. The prize, £60 million in cash and jewels. The Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Centre was supposed to be a fortress for the rich and famous. People trusted it with their fortunes, believing in its steel-lined vaults and state-of-the-art alarms. But a few ordinary criminals saw a weakness. They used simple tools, not gadgets or explosives. Their plan was brutally simple, and it worked. The heist wasn't just about money, it was a direct challenge to the system. These weren't super spies, just clever criminals with nerve and a hardware store shopping list. They turned a modern fortress into a legend. The story of the Knightsbridge heist is still whispered in London pubs, a myth of cunning and nerve. It's a chilling reminder. Sometimes the simplest plans are the most dangerous. How could something so valuable be so vulnerable? The answer would baffle Scotland Yard for years. This is the story of how a handful of men humbled a multi-million-pound fortress. And it all started with a hammer, a chisel, and a bold idea. Let's see how they did it. Every audacious plan starts with one person. For Knightsbridge, that was Valerio Vicei. An Italian playboy and career criminal, Vicei saw London as a playground, not a refuge. He was wanted for over 50 armed robberies in Italy, but in London he blended in. Vicei was meticulous. He became a customer at the Safe Deposit Centre, renting a box to study the place from the inside. He observed the staff, the routines, the security systems, everything. He noticed the alarms were only active at night. During the day, security relied on staff and thick walls. But the building was old. Its walls were brick and plaster, not reinforced concrete. Vicei realized the human element was the weakest link. He saw a simple, effective way in, through the wall. No need for high-tech gadgets, just patience, observation, and a few basic tools. He spent weeks gathering intel, learning every habit and flaw. The plan was set. Bypass the alarms, exploit the old walls, and strike when no one expected. Vicei's genius wasn't in technology, it was in seeing what others missed. He didn't need to outgun the system, just outthink it. The stage was set for one of the boldest heists in British history. All he needed now was the right moment and the right crew. The Knightsbridge Centre would never see it coming. Sometimes, the most dangerous criminal is the one who simply pays attention. Vicei was ready. The countdown to the heist had begun. The plan was simple. The execution would be anything but. And it all started with a single rented box. Sunday, July 12th, 1987. Knightsbridge was quiet. The perfect cover. Two well-dressed men, Vicei and his accomplice, walked in, blending with the clientele. They were buzzed in without suspicion. Once inside, they drew handguns and quickly overpowered the guards and manager. No shouting, no chaos, just cold efficiency. The staff became hostages. The fortress breached from within. To keep customers away, they hung a handwritten sign, "Sorry, Safe Deposit Centre temporarily closed." Passers-by saw nothing unusual. The gang had sealed themselves in. With the building to themselves, the alarms off, and the public kept at bay, the setup was perfect. Vicei brought in the rest of the team and their tools. The city's weekend lull provided the silence they needed. The stage was set for the main event, breaking into the vault. The heist was underway, hidden in plain sight. Hours stretched ahead. Every minute a risk, every second a step closer to the prize. The staff, tied up and terrified, could only listen as the thieves prepared. The outside world remained oblivious. The gang's timing was flawless. The real work was about to begin. In the heart of London, a legend was being forged. The Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Centre was about to make history. All it took was a quiet Sunday and a bold plan. The vault awaited. Forget Hollywood gadgets. These thieves used tools from any hardware shop. Sledgehammer, chisels, crowbar, and a car jack. That was their arsenal. No explosives, no electronics, just muscle and ingenuity. The sledgehammer smashed through plaster. Chisels chipped away at mortar, the crowbar pried bricks loose, and the jack bent metal bars. Their method was slow, deliberate, and surprisingly quiet. The rhythmic thud of a hammer could be mistaken for construction. Simplicity was their camouflage. Each tool had a purpose, each move calculated. They didn't need sophistication, just patience and nerve. The tools were basic, but the thinking was brilliant. Sometimes, the simplest weapons are the most effective. The attack point was a hidden corridor wall, out of sight, out of mind. The sledgehammer broke through plaster, then brick. The thieves worked in shifts, chipping away at mortar, brick by brick. Hostages listened helplessly as their fortress crumbled. Hours passed. The pile of rubble grew. Finally, they broke through to the metal reinforcement cage. The car jack bent the bars, creating a gap just big enough for one man. One thief squeezed through, entering the anteroom outside the vault. Tools were passed through. The breach was complete. They'd gotten through the wall with nothing but brute force and patience. The vault door was now within reach. The hardest part was over, or so they thought. The next challenge was the vault itself. The team was exhausted, but adrenaline kept them moving. The prize was almost in sight. The final barrier stood before them. The vault door was a steel giant, seemingly unbreakable. But Vicey's team didn't try to crack it by force. Their inside man, an amateur electrician, worked on the wiring from within. Vicey bluffed the manager, pretending to know the combination. The real work was disabling the magnetic locks and bolts. After tense minutes, the bolts retracted. With a turn of the dial and the stolen key, the door swung open. No explosions, no drama, just quiet triumph. They hadn't broken the door, they'd outsmarted it. The treasure trove lay open before them. The impossible had become reality. The vault's secrets were theirs for the taking. The heist had reached its climax. Inside, hundreds of safe deposit boxes lined the vault. The thieves couldn't open them all, so they targeted the most promising. Crowbars and chisels tore open box after box. Some held only papers, but others overflowed with cash, diamonds, gold, and watches. The gang stuffed bags with anything valuable. Over 120 boxes were breached, an avalanche of wealth. The official lost £60 million, though the true figure may be higher. Many victims never revealed what they'd lost. The thieves worked frantically, knowing time was running out. Greed battled with fear of discovery. Vicey called a halt before it was too late. They gathered their loot and prepared to vanish. The vault had been conquered. Now came the most dangerous part, the getaway. The legend was sealed in those frantic, glittering moments. The impossible had been done. The Knightsbridge vault would never be the same. The city would wake to a new kind of myth. Escaping was as tricky as the break-in. The gang left in staggered groups, blending into the city. The most valuable items went first, hidden in plain sight. Vicey waited, then released a hostage with instructions to delay calling police. Finally, he walked out, cool and unhurried, and drove off in his Ferrari Testarossa. It was arrogance and style, leaving Britain's biggest heist in a supercar. The police arrived to chaos-shaken staff, a ransacked vault, and a gaping hole in the wall. Scotland Yard launched a massive investigation. The press called it the heist of the century. The thieves had vanished, leaving only questions and a legend. The city buzzed with rumors and awe. The perfect crime seemed complete, but every legend leaves a trail. The chase was just beginning. The aftermath would be as dramatic as the heist itself. Scotland Yard's investigation was relentless. The breakthrough came from a classic mistake, a gang member bragged. Forensics found a bloody fingerprint at the scene. The print led to an accomplice, and the network unraveled. Vicey was tracked across continents, finally caught when he returned for his beloved Ferrari. His arrogance was his undoing. He was convicted and sentenced to 22 years. Most of the loot was never recovered. The Knightsbridge Heist forced a security revolution. Stronger walls, better alarms, stricter protocols. It remains a modern legend. A handful of men, simple tools, and £60 million. The story feels like a film, but it's all true. If you enjoyed this tale of audacity and cunning, subscribe for more unbelievable, true crime stories. There are always more secrets waiting to be uncovered.